So let me start off by saying my sense of place is my grandparents, and to be exact, my mom's side. I grew up on their farm, and I lived there until I was probably 13 or 14, and they raised me, and it's where I spent my whole childhood. And their farm is definitely my happy place, my sense of place. And the thing is the road that goes to my grandparents' farm is like walking through my childhood. And because you turn down this road, and the first thing you see is the car wash that when my brother had his first job, and I remember going with him and just watching him. And then you go a little farther and you see the Shawnee Theater, and I remember going there with my cousin and my grandma when I was really really young, and we saw all kinds of plays there. And you wind through the road a little farther, and you drive across this bridge, and it doesn't look like anything, and it goes over a small creek. But I remember fishing off that bridge with my grandpa, and just listening to him laugh and tell stories, and it was a big part of my childhood. And you go, and exactly 2 miles out, you come to a stop sign. And that's where I turned around the first time I ever drove a car. And so you make a left-hand turn at the stop sign, and you go exactly 2 miles, and you get to my grandparents' house. But in that 2 miles, you drive past the farm where I had my first job, and where I put up hay for the first time for a summer. You drive past the house that I used to go to and shovel snow for, the old guy that lived there, the old farmer. And I put up hay for him a few times, but I would always go and shovel the snow out of his driveway. And then you come to the corner where I wrecked my first truck 3 weeks after I got my license, and just tore it all to pieces. And then you come up to a brown board fence, and that's how you know that it's my grandpa's house. He loves to just paint everything brown, and I don't know why, he just does. A brown board fence, a brown barn, and at exactly 2 miles from that stop sign, you can put on your right turn signal and turn in the driveway. And I don't know how many times my grandma said that, but she had measured it over and over again, because that's just how my grandma was. And you turn in the driveway and you see a small cabin, and you pull down and you park, and you can walk down a trail in the woods. And it was just a little road we had going back so we could, cut logs and do whatever, get firewood. And you come to a small creek, and if you walk up that creek, you'll come to a little waterfall. And it's really nothing special, and it ain't much of a waterfall anymore. But if you turn and look up to the right, you can see a tree with a big arch in it. And I'd like to think the arch is from me leaning on it, but I doubt it. And I used to go, and I would wander through those woods for hours, but I always found myself leaning against that tree, listening to the water run over the rocks. And just, you could look up through and see the sky through the trees. And I would just sit there for hours and just think. And it was always calming, and it made all my problems go away. And it just fixed everything. And it always amazed me. And even now, years later, I still go back there, and I'll still sit in the same place. And I still listen to the same sounds. And it still makes all my problems go away. And that is why this is my sense of place.